Well, looks like the worst case for Lucas Giolito just became a reality. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and there was still a slight glimmer of hope that Lucas Giolito would end up getting that second opinion that he had on Monday, today, that would tell him, hey, maybe you don't need surgery. Well, it doesn't look like that's the case because we just got news today that he's undergoing surgery that's probably going to prevent him from stepping foot on the field this season. So what we are going to do in today's video is basically break down these results, talk about what each scenario could possibly be here in terms of what surgery he could have, how long he could be out, and obviously how all of this is going to affect the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, do me a favor. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're getting pretty close now, so if you're new here and want to help us get there, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. All right, so let's start by just basically going over the timeline here. When we first heard about Lucas Giolito's injury, none of the Red Sox officials, either Alex Cora, Craig Breslow, Sam Kennedy, really anyone in the Red Sox organization would confirm or deny that Lucas Giolito was going to need surgery, right? And then we heard from Jeff Passan that it was probably a torn UCL and a flexor strain, which would require surgery. So there was a bit of mystery as to which direction Lucas Giolito would go. There was the assumption that he most likely was going to lead to surgery, but there was always that slight glimmer of hope, like I mentioned in the intro, right? That if he had gone to a second doctor and gotten a second opinion, maybe there was a way that he wouldn't need surgery in order to get better. Well, that glimmer of hope was pretty much squashed today, just a couple of hours ago, when it was officially announced that tomorrow, Tuesday, Lucas Giolito will be undergoing a surgery. Now, the reason I haven't specifically mentioned which surgery it's going to be is because right now, we just don't know. There are technically two options for Lucas Giolito right now, and they're not going to know the answer to that until he undergoes this surgery and they can actually get in there and see what the true damage is. The first option is the obvious one. That is Tommy John surgery. With Lucas Giolito, that would leave him out for 15 to 18 months, which would put his return not in the 2025 season, but the 2025 All-Star break, and the Red Sox would lose about a year and a half of Lucas Giolito. This is sort of worst case scenario, right? Obviously, you want to get especially someone who you were assuming would be a one-year deal, especially if you were able to fix whatever was going on with him in the second half of last year and turning it into a possible 3-year contract where you only get a year and a half out of him, right? You really don't want that situation, especially with the tight budget the Red Sox are rolling with, a self-imposed ridiculous budget, but a tight budget nonetheless. You don't really want to have pitchers like that on your radar. So the first option is really worst case scenario, and that is they get in there tomorrow, they realize, hey, we're going to need to do Tommy John surgery for this one, and Lucas Giolito misses about 15 to 18 months, which again would put him coming back right around the 2025 All-Star break. However, there is still a tiny little silver lining here, right? It feels like the silver lining is shrinking every single time we talk about Giolito, but the silver lining in this situation is it's not entirely confirmed yet that it's going to be Tommy John surgery. There is a possibility that if Lucas Giolito gets under the knife and they believe that they are able to fix it with just a brace, very similar to what we saw with Trevor Story last season, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to do the full Tommy John. They're going to give him the brace. Now, this would actually shorten Lucas Giolito's timeline a whole lot, right? Because if you remember, Trevor Story had this surgery back in January and was able to actually get some games in of the 2023 season, right? He wasn't even out for the full season. Now, obviously, it's a whole lot different rehabbing a shortstop with this type of surgery and a pitcher with this type of surgery. So it's almost certain that he's going to miss the entirety of the 2024 season. It's probably pretty much confirmed at this point, right? I keep saying possibly, probably. It's pretty much confirmed Lucas Giolito will not be in a Red Sox uniform at any point in 2024. However, the reason this is a silver lining is because you could get some value back from him back in 2025, right? You wouldn't have to have him miss the first half of the season. Hopefully hopefully he comes back and he's healthy and ready to go for the start of 2025, and you could begin the year with Lucas Giolito on your team. And that's a whole lot different of a scenario, especially in terms of financials for the Red Sox, than it is if he has Tommy John. So the moral of the story here, when we're looking at the actual news of today's video, is the fact that Lucas Giolito is going to need surgery, and that most likely and probably definitely means that we will not see Lucas Giolito in 2024. The real thing that's in question here is whether or not we see him in the first half of 2025, because again, we don't know which surgery he's going to need to require until they actually open up his arm and figure out what's going on in there. So it's still a bit of a mystery as to how long he's going to be out, but we do know he's going to need surgery. The question now is, what do the Red Sox do, and how does this impact the team? I think obviously in terms of the impact, this is massive, right? We went over this when Lucas Giolito was first announced to be injured, but having him in this rotation was allowing this team to get more innings, to get more starts, to strengthen the bullpen, because you were going to need them less every 5 days. He was supposed to be that workhorse. Now, obviously, you don't have that, right? What you've got right now are pitchers who historically, besides probably Pivetta and Bayo, don't entirely go super deep into games. So you're weakening your bullpen by weakening your rotation, not only because you're losing innings, but also because you're taking away one of Whitlock, Houck, or Winkowski from that bullpen and having to put them in the rotation. So it's going to have obviously a pretty major impact on how the Red Sox transition going forward and what they plan on doing during the 2024 season. Now, in terms of what the Red Sox are going to do, well, I think that's a more interesting conversation, because like we talked about again in the Lucas Giolito initial video, the obvious response here from fans, me, you guys, is saying, well, why don't you just go get Jordan Montgomery, right? Why not get Jordan Montgomery? Because he's going to improve this team both now and in the future. But I think there was a reason why the Red Sox were really hesitant to say, yeah, it's most likely he's going to get surgery, right? When before this announcement, you heard Alex Cora, Craig Breslow, Sam Kennedy even say, well, we don't exactly know what the injury is going to lead to yet. And I think that's a big part of the negotiation tactics going on right now, right? Because in my opinion, the Red Sox aren't looking at Jordan Montgomery as a Band-Aid. They're looking at Jordan Montgomery, if they're going to actually go and get Jordan Montgomery, as a longer term solution, not a super long one, but a 3 or 4 year solution to a problem in the Red Sox rotation that is innings and starts, and quality starts at that. Losing this leverage and now having it confirmed that you are going to have Lucas Giolito get surgery loses a whole lot for you in these negotiations. Now, I don't think it changes a ton, but it definitely changes the price. The price definitely went up here, so I don't really know if the Red Sox solution's gonna be Jordan Montgomery. At this point, it would surprise a lot of people if their solution was Jordan Montgomery. Instead, what I think is going to happen here is the Red Sox are going to have these back-end starters, these sort of 6-7 type starters, really take a step up. I'm talking about guys like Garrett Whitlock, Josh Winkowski, and even Cooper Criswell, who actually did look pretty solid today, but scares the hell out of me in a major league rotation. However, maybe he looks like Rich Hill. I was thinking that today, right? A little bit of a slop throwing righty. Rich Hill was a bit of a slop throwing lefty. I don't know. He was a heart attack to watch on the mound, but he did end up giving you solid innings from that 5th rotational spot. So maybe Cooper Criswell is a legitimate option, but that's where you're most likely right now. Obviously, things could change in the Jordan Montgomery category. This is where you're going to get your resolution for losing Lucas Giolito, is you're going to get someone taken out of the bullpen in Josh Winkowski, Garrett Whitlock, or even Cooper Criswell and put into the rotation. Now, there is one more solution, in my opinion, for the Red Sox right now, and that is going out and getting a lower level arm. Someone who could just eat innings, someone who could just give you starts, someone who's not going to give you the best statistics in the world, but he's going to be there every 5th day. And I think that answer right there is Michael Lorenzen. We've talked about him a couple times on these videos. He's nothing super spectacular. He's not going to be a top 2 or 3 pitcher in your rotation, but he's definitely going to be able to give you those innings. And he's a guy who could help this team sort of patchwork this rotation that right now is in a bit of a limbo, right? You don't know what these guys are going to look like, if these young players are going to step up. You don't know what type of innings, what type of start starts you're going to get from a lot of these guys because they haven't spent significant time in your rotation. And right now, it's probably shaping up to be Bello, Pivetta, Crawford, Houck, and Whitlock, or Winkowski or Cooper. It's a little bit of a mishmash, right? Michael Lorenzen coming in does help you band-aid that a little bit. And maybe if you're hanging in at the deadline, then you go out and you get a significant starting pitcher. But until then, yeah, I think this is sort of what we're working with right now. Again, I do think things will change. As for the other impacts this is going to have, it obviously puts a whole lot of pressure on Brayan Bello, Cutter Crawford, young players like that. Bello, who just got an extension, Crawford, who's been getting hyped up by Red Sox fans this entire offseason. Is that enough pressure to really push a diamond out, or are they going to crack a little bit because they're being asked to do more than they're expected to do? Overall, it's been worst case scenario after worst case scenario with this Lucas Giolito news, right? Before it was, man, he might be out for the full season. Now it's, yeah, he's probably going to be out for the full season and maybe part of the other season. It's just... It's like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong in this Lucas Giolito injury. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? What do you think about this Lucas Giolito news? What do you think the Red Sox do in response? And ultimately, how do you think this impacts the season, if at all? Let me know all your thoughts on Lucas Giolito needing surgery in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It really does help these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.